Howdy everyone, this is LockNutz, and you're watching a map tour of European countryside by Zero Oito. Hopefully you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, how are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, I tell you what, today we get to go on a map tour of European countryside by Zero Oito. This little bad mamma jamma is 256.17 megabytes to download and is very cross-platform friendly. This map is based in the mountains of southeast of France. You betcha. There are collectibles on this map, and depending on the difficulty of where you can find them, the prices or rewards will vary. So you got that going for you. We have gone ahead and started this gameplay off on new farmer mode. That way you guys know what you get if you do start off on new farmers mode. So let's jump in it and take a look at your vehicles. All right, here is your equipment. Starting off with small tractors, you got yourself a Kloss and a Vultra. Harvesters, you got the Dutzfar Topliner, and it comes along with the Dutzfar Topliner grain header, the Corn Champion by Ziegler, and the Dutzfar Topliner header trailer. Cars, you start off with one pickup truck. Trailers, you have one Kloss Carrot. Plows, you start off with one Agro plow. Cultivators, you have an Amazon cultivator, Amazon power harrow, and the Amazon seeder. Got to love it. Sprayers, you have yourself one Hardy sprayer. Fertilizer spreaders, you start off with the Breedel, and that does both lime and fertilizer. Forage wagons, you start off with one Pottinger forage wagon. Animal-wise, you have one Joskin's Aquatrans trailer. Front loaders, you start off with one Kloss front loader. You start off with a pallet fork and universal bucket for the front loader. Low loaders, you start off with one Flegel front loader, or low loader, sorry about that. And to close it all off, you start off with two Kloss weights. Not too shabby. A lot of stuff on a little map that you can get yourself out rocking and rolling on. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at that map. Alrighty then, guys, so here is the map, and it is not that big of a map. It's actually kind of a small map, but you know what? It is laid out pretty darn slick, if I do say so myself. You have the town off to the side here, ready to rock, ready to roll, and then on the outskirts of the town, you have all of your fields. Nice shapes. Some are slightly irregular. The majority of them are kind of regularly shaped. Nice square edges is what I end up meaning by that. You do have contracts on here, so you got that going for you. And when you do start off a new farmer mode, you do start off with 100 chickens, 99 chickens and one rooster. Gotta love it. Now, what do you have for farmland? You have 1, 2, 3, 4 fields altogether. I know I didn't say them in the correct order, but you have those, plus the farmland up here. Not too shabby. Field prices on the very lowest end of the spectrum, you have little old field 13 coming in at $11,000. On the opposite end of that, you have field 34 coming in at $138,000. Now, that's not all. The most expensive plot on the entire map is right over here. This is the sawmill over in this area with a heavily forested area coming in at $1.1 million, but that's not the end of it. Most of the fields are pretty reasonably priced. They're not blown out of proportion. They're not crazy or anything like that. They're all relatively well priced. So you got that going for you. You're not going to break the bank, that's for darn sure. But if you want to take out a loan and go crazy, by all means jump on it and go for it. With that being said, guys, let's hop down on the map and go ahead and take a look at this thing from down below. All right, everyone. So one thing I'm going to do here really quick is I am going to turn the map on on the corner of the screen. That way you guys can kind of follow along with me. Now, when you go ahead and start off in new farmers mode, you do start up here in town right next to your truck, which is sitting in town. Very convenient here. So let's hop into this thing and get ourselves rocking and rolling around here. We're not going to go crazy. We're going to go a little quick route through the town here before we head out to the countryside and stop by the starting farm that you end up getting in here. Now, this particular map does have a lot of neat little intricacies when it comes to the towns and the buildings. You have to remember this is a map that's based in the mountains near southeast France, so you got to pay attention to that. Want to stop over here because you do have a rock crusher over in this area, and it's kind of neat how this was done, where you have all of this going on over here, this little construction pit, which some of the maps, or I should say some of the roads leading out of town, show as if they're under construction. So it really kind of helps paint a nice picture for rocking and rolling through all sorts of things. Now, one thing I want to do, let you guys know right now, is I like to drive through the fields to kind of show you what the fields do look like. And you might be telling yourself, oh my goodness, they seem really, really flat and everything. No, these are some of the flatter areas right over here. You do have some nice elevation changes as you kind of wander through the landscape. Now, this bridge right here, this is kind of the basic size of all the bridges. This is as narrow as they end up getting, so you aren't really going to have to worry too much about your landscape, or I should say about getting from point A to point B with larger machinery. You should be okay. Now, up here we have the sawmill, and I wanted to come up here for a very important reason, because it just seems like it's pretty neat. When I first found this area up here, I was coming from the opposite direction. And with that being said, I actually want to head back in that direction because it was very, very neat. I actually got confused on where I was going, so that should say something. Not much, more or less about me, but it should say something here. And the reason for that is because there is a road down there, and I thought I could get up there by going on this road, but as you can see, that's not necessarily the case. There is a nice winding little road over here, and this is part of that $1.1 million area. So as you can see, we'll stop right here for just a second and wander out in here. Once you get through this thick bush, it actually opens up a little bit so you can see what's going on, but it's not very nice terrain for doing logging. It's going to challenge you just a little bit here to maneuver around to get yourself around to point A to point B. And I personally think not necessarily the landscape here is what makes it difficult. I'd say it's more or less you got these small and medium-sized trees peppered in with the large ones. If you ever going ahead and taking a look at some of the maps that have all large trees for their forestry area, it's nice. You get a lot of money off of it, but generally they're pretty wide open. You can see through them and all that stuff. Not here. You have all these little bushes all over the place. You got these small trees blocking your view. It really kind of plays a factor in getting lost, which I guess I can look at the map. There we are. Okay. So as you can see, guys, it is pretty thick back in there. Your visibility does get knocked down quite a bit. Trees-wise, though, logging some of those smaller decorative looking trees, they can be kind of a pain, so kind of keep that in mind as you're out there rocking and rolling. We're going to kind of cut back this way so we can head around on some of these fields a little bit more so you can see them. Now, taking a look at the fields here, there are really not many fields that are of incredibly large size. They're, for the most part, relatively small, but they do have some pretty vicious elevation changes. With that being said, you're really going to want to take a peek at the land before you go about buying it. You may be able to get away with doing some smaller machinery on this, but, oh shoot, sorry about that, but you're going to want to keep in mind that you could potentially struggle in some of these places. None of the hills on here are so extreme that you can't get away with, I don't know, using like the Bison or something like that, or the Dutz Farm. Everything should be able to work on here, but you may have to have a little bit of patience. You may end up struggling to get up the hills. But remember, it's not like you're going up mile-high hills here. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. Now, coming up over here, one of the things I want to do is I want to hop on out, because down over here is the starting farm. And I want to stop here for just a second, because on all of the farming modes that you can start off with, this is the only one that has any of this stuff on here. On farm manager mode or start from scratch, none of this is here. So keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and pop in here and take a look at this just for 1 second. When it comes to the buildings on here, any specialty buildings, there's nothing that you can go ahead that's extra. Everything is all standard in-game stuff. But everything here in this little farm basin, you can actually go ahead and delete, or I should say sell off. So if you don't necessarily like this setup, you don't like how this is done, you can go ahead and get rid of this. If you do want to start a new farmer mode. Otherwise, if you want to start on any of the other modes, none of this stuff is really here. So kind of keep that in mind when you're out here and you're rocking and rolling and doing your little various tasks. Let's head on through here real quick, and as you can see, it's kind of cut tight, it's kind of compact, but I think it's done in a way that's very functional. I do like that. I like these gates that are right here. I really like the power lines that are just kind of right over the top, just shooting right over the top of that. It's pretty darn slick. I kind of like that. And you know, the backgrounds, you know, I think that's the Erlen Grant hillsides up there. I could be wrong on that, but it definitely adds to the map. It definitely feels like you really are in a valley here. And that, what I'm getting at with that is, I think a lot of that has to do with the way this is laid out. You have some nice elevation changes. You have your trees that are just kind of blocking your view of certain areas. You got small narrow roads that kind of wander around through all over the place. It forces you to go one way if you really are trying to get the other way. Like I said, it really is done in a pretty nice way here. And one of the things that you will find out is if you do come over to like some of these other little farm areas, ones that aren't necessarily farms, but you could say they are, you got some of these older equipment up here. Now, they're just placeables on here or decoration, but it still kind of adds to the value, the nostalgic value of it all. This is not something that needs to be on the map. It doesn't. It adds no useful value to it, other than the fact that it's going ahead and adding that little bit of charm, that detail. It makes it feel like you're really there. And that's what I'm kind of getting at when it comes to, it's a small map, but it plays much bigger. I think you could easily go ahead and play on this map with smaller equipment and have it seem like you're in your own little world, just by all the little bits, the little pieces, like the little details I was telling you about. I really do think that it really does play bigger than it really is. And I like that when map makers have that ability or add those little details to the map to really make them stand out. And as we're hobbling on over here, this field right here, unfortunately, we're looking at potatoes out here, so that's kind of scary. But this is the largest field on the map, most expensive field on the map. And as you can see, it's not terribly big. I mean, you go ahead and do wheat or anything else other than potatoes, sugarcane, or sugar beets, poplar, or anything like that. Let's just say any of the grains. You do any of the grains out there, it's not going to take that long with the Dutz Far, just since that's the vehicle you start off with. It really isn't that bad. This is what I was talking about here, with it looks like they got all sorts of construction going on, and they need some place to go ahead and move all the rocks and the rubble that they're moving around. So again, it's these little tiny details. It kind of helps build the picture, paint the picture, I should say, of what you're really dealing with here on the map. All right, there we go. Let's kind of come around the corner here. Took out one of them safety cones. Watch out for that. And here you go. Here's some more of their little hilly rolling landscape, just done very, very beautifully. And like I said, you have all these trees around the outside. It blocks your view from the edge of the map, and it really makes it feel like you really are in this little valley, small town area. Just absolutely loving every minute of it, guys. It is super, super neat here. I can only say so much. I think it's time we hop up in the air and take a look at this thing from an aerial view. All right, everyone, I've got my wings on, and let's go ahead and fly up into the sky and take a peek at this thing from up above. Now, like I said, guys, here with the complete view of everything that's going on here, you can really see the, I don't want to, it's not slamming this, but lack of size of this map. It really is not a large map by any means, but it is done just, I think, very, very well with the way it's all laid out. You have your fields tucked up in corners, in the hillsides, right along the edge of the city or little village, whatever it is that you want to call it here. The roads are winding around the paths. You have trees blocking view. I think, like I said, this is these little details that are done on here to make these maps like this seem much bigger than they are. And I really like these small maps like this that have these details built right in to make them feel and play like they're a much, much bigger map than they really are. I have to say hats off. This is super, super neat. I really do like this one. Don't take my word for it, guys, though. Go ahead and download this one for yourselves and comment down below. What do you think of this map? How would you go about playing on this? Where would you attack things first? Would you want to attack that forestry up there? Was that where you want to go? Would you want to deal with animals on the other side of it? Or would you rather jump in here and start rocking and rolling on this thing just all over the place? Guys, this is a super neat map. I really, really like this one. If you guys are liking what you're hearing, liking what you're seeing, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help out a ton. Hit that notification bell, have it turned on and set to all. Oh my goodness, go ahead and share this with somebody who likes these little maps like this. I think they're pretty darn neat myself, but go ahead, share this with somebody that you find likes these little maps like this. Share it with me. I don't care. I don't mind. Oh man, guys, I tell you what, until I see you guys next, or I see you out here on this, thanks for stopping by.